Hi everyone, it's Shane Beckett here. Sorry for the mix up with the blab tonight. I was working hard to try to get it going, and shout out to Chris and to Christy and to Denise and Anne and Leslie and people who were trying to get on. The links weren't working properly, and I was getting pretty frustrated, so I thought I would just make a video tonight and go through my practicum and send it to you that way. I tried it last night. Everything worked just fine. I run a regular podcast weekly for fantasy football, and I did it with my co-host last night. We streamed it to YouTube. Everything worked great. So I'm not sure why it wouldn't work tonight. The podcast would be the reason why I have this fancy microphone that I use. So I thought tonight I'd use that to try to create some good sound quality for the video tonight. And also for the video tonight, I'm using Screencast-O-Matic. It's a great way to be able to share what's happening on your computer screen while at the same time you can see over in the window. I kind of like to have both myself and my screen being shown. I think it just adds a little human element to the video. Anyways, just to give you quickly what a blab looks like, I have it set up over here on YouTube. So blab is pretty neat because what it has is live Twitter feeds here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 different slots for people to have a video cast in here. And as you can see, there's a locked seat. So the host, who I think would probably be, this person with the yellow check mark, would have control over who gets to sit at the empty seats. It starts with just the host, and then people can come in and out as the host desires. There's also a live chat stream on the right-hand side here, which is really helpful as well for those people who don't want to show their face. And if you record this, there would be a record button if you were the host over on this side. If you record this, then you will get an email right away after you finish your broadcast where you can download the video or download the audio, and you can also directly throw it right into YouTube. It works pretty slick. So we've been using it for a little bit for our podcast. It's worked pretty good. So I thought it would have been an interesting way to interact with everybody tonight. That didn't seem to work out, but that's okay. That's what it looks like. There you go. So I guess to review some of the stuff that I'm doing in my practicum, my goal was really originally I was going to do something just through Twitter, through my job as a STEM coordinator. And then when I got the position as a vice principal at Robert Morris School, I decided that I would try to do something more action oriented in my school. So what I thought I would do is try to use my skills in technology and bring those to my school at the school level to work with all the staff in the school. So my goal really was to improve the technology use in the school, and by doing that, hopefully helping people with their proficiency and with their confidence. So on the link that I shared in the class or on the class page, I kind of outlined some of the things that we've been doing in class or in school, that have been interesting and they've gotten some good feedback. So the first thing I did is I took a look at the baseline survey. I tried to find some information from our staff with regards to their proficiency and their confidence. And so I do have a link to that particular survey that I gave. And you can see here I tried to sort them by not only by division and how long they've taught, but then I went through different things about their use and how much they use, and also their opinions based on how they feel about technology. So I'm hoping that in the fall I can give out that same survey and hopefully see some things have been changed. One of the big ways I was hoping to make some changes is by using the bites, is what I'm calling, the Beckett's Ideas in Tech. So every week I'm trying to give a 5-minute video that we go in correlation with our Monday memo that just has a quick little nugget about some sort of tech tool that they can use in the classroom. So clicking that link sends you to my YouTube channel. And inside of here, I post all of my videos. So I did one a couple weeks ago on Mindomo. I also have done Twitter polls. I've done a lot of stuff with Google because we have access to Office 365 and to Google, but a lot of our teachers are using Google. We have Chromebooks throughout our school board and throughout our school. So I thought Google would be a good thing to share with our staff. So using Google Draw and using Google Slides and using Google Forms and all of those types of things, really to try to help teachers have something with them that's like a little tutorial, then also be able to share it with their students if they wanted to. And then we could have, learning that way and building capacity that way. So that's one of the biggest ways I've been trying to do it. I know as a technology coach, I would go into a classroom, super lesson, and we'd have this great experience. Teachers would get fired up, and then I'd leave. And then they're like, oh yeah, how do we use that piece of technology again? So I thought by using the video, teachers could work along with the video and really get a good grasp on what the technology is. And then at the same time, have the opportunity to revisit, pause, replay, do some of those things with the video. So that's been one big one, has been the bite. Another big one for us in our school is the office visit tracking. We didn't really have a way at our school to track how and who was visiting the office. And so I thought by using a Google form, it'd be a great way to track these visits. And it was the idea being that, you can't change what you can't measure. So how were we measuring who was coming to see us? Now, with some of the knowledge that I have, I also knew that I could use this Google form to send information to a spreadsheet, but also to use that spreadsheet then to create documents automatically from the content that was in the Google form. So I thought this would be an interesting way to be able to send feedback back to the teachers automatically so that we could track the data and then also communicate back to our teachers as well so that our teachers knew a little bit about what happened when the student was in the office, what some of the results were, and then they could keep that for their own records if they wanted, or just for peace of mind knowing that there was some sort of follow-up that happened in the office. Because I know that often we can say, oh, I'm going to catch up with so-and-so in the hall, or I'm going to send them an email later, or I'm going to give them a phone call. And sometimes that gets mixed up in some of the other things that are happening in our day. So creating this form not only gives us in the office data as to who's visiting and when they're visiting and what the outcomes were, but it also allows us to communicate back to the teacher. So what we have is a Google form, and this is literally what I use. I quickly just throw in a timestamp as to when in the day it was. Very easy. There's a drop-down menu, so it's very quick to enter. Then I have the date. You can set the date. I put in the student's name. Right now, these are the emails from the two administrators, and the reason why I have it as emails is so that in the automation part of things, it knows when and who to send feedback to. Then I created this for you, but this is where I would punch in. I have a drop-down list of all of our teachers and their email address, so I can quickly just type in Joe and Joe's email will come up. But if you wanted to try this, you could jump on here, you could type in your email address, and then it'll automatically send it to that email address for you. Then we just thought of some common reasons why kids are in the office. I'll leave the other categories so that we could add to it if we needed to. There's also here about what would be some of the results. And then I give a summary. When I press submit, poof, it automatically sends feedback back to the teacher in a document that I created that outlines that information. So it would just say, dear, and then teacher name, student name was in the office for the following reason. This was the following result. And then here's some more information on what occurred. So this has been a really key element in using technology as far as administration purposes go. And I've had nothing but positive feedback from our teachers. They really love getting feedback right away. So what it does is it creates a spreadsheet. So this is just an example from the one that I gave you. Student name, it has reasons why, et cetera, And then what's kind of neat is if we keep going here, the add-on to Google Sheets is called Autocrat right here, Autocrat, and that'll make these automatic documents. If I open one up here for you, I can show you what it would look like automated. Oh, of course, because I'm signed into a different account. It's not going to work. But it does create a document. And of course, it doesn't work there. Welcome to my night as far as technology goes. But it does create a document that sends right back to the teacher. Another thing that we've been using is I've been working with some of our EAs in the building about tracking student behaviors rather than pulling out the binder to say, oh, this is what happened and when it happened. We're using Google Forms again to do some tracking there. And so it's a real easy little sheet that has who was involved, what the intensity was, what the antecedent was, behavior, consequence, and additional information. What's nice about this is we save this spreadsheet and share it with both the administrators and the teacher. And then that way we're all on the same page as the things that are going on within the classroom. And the EA is just simply using it like an app on their phone, and it's not intrusive. It doesn't make a big announcement that things are going into a binder, and away we go. And if you wanted to take a look and create your own copy, if you click on this link, it'll automatically tell you that you need to make a copy, and then you just make the copy like this, and then this will be right in your Google Drive. And this is an exact example of what we use with some of our students in our school. Another interesting one that I've been using as an administrator is using Microsoft OneNote. So currently I'm recording this on a Microsoft Surface Pro 3, and I'm using the OneNote full program that is sitting on this Surface. And so what's kind of neat is here you can see, for instance, that I'm taking my handwritten notes as to what's been going on within our school. I'm using the stylus, taking the handwritten notes, and it is kind of neat. If I type in test, for instance, you can see that test does show up, and look at it, even recognizes my terrible handwriting here and highlights that there. The other neat thing about using OneNote is that I can forward emails. So here's an example of an email that was forwarded to me, and it shows right within the text within the email that searched item that I was looking for. All right, so I can see it highlighted right there. And a lot of our email programs will search by user or search by subject, but it won't actually search the contents. So I forward important emails back to my OneNote so that I can search for stuff later on, which is pretty effective for us. So I'm using OneNote a lot for that. Oh, I guess and the other thing I could tell with you there too is that I share the notebook then with the other administrator, and then that way we can combine. I've used it for things like sharing newsletters and all different types of things. What else have I used it for? I've used it Google Drawings trying to do school newsletters. So instead of using Publisher, which is great for templates, but I'm going to have Publisher on my home computer, or I'm going to have to do my work at school, I'm going to have to download the document. I'm going to open it up, do some editing, download it, save it again, maybe email it to myself so that I can edit it at school. And I can't share it with anyone. If I want someone to add something to it, they're going to have to download it, do all that saving stuff. Here, I can share this Google Drawings with other members of our school team. They can automatically add stuff or share stuff and store it inside. It's been pretty effective that way as well. I'm trying to start a Twitter hashtag so you can follow what's happening on it at our school. So for instance, we just did camp day in the early years. So this is a picture from inside one of our classrooms, and you can see things that are going on within our school by following the hashtag. Not a lot of people in our area are using Twitter right now, but it's something I'm trying to set up ahead of time. So these are just some of the ways that I'm using technology in our school, both to make my job as administrator more effective and more efficient, but also to try to share some of my tech knowledge with people within our building so that we become a little bit more technology based. One thing I'm really looking forward to is in the fall, starting a Google Classroom for our staff. And then any things like criminal record checks, those types of things I'm going to send out through there. And when they submit it back to me, I'll easily be able to track who's got things done, when they've got it done, those types of things. And being able to share resources and communicate and collaborate with each other in that space, I think is going to be a really effective tool as well. And it'll also be utilizing instructional, educational leadership by demonstrating that I can use it as them as my quote unquote students, then they could turn around and use that within their own classrooms. So sorry for rushing here at the end, but I only have 15 minutes when I'm using Screencast-O-Matic. Hopefully this gave you a quick little rundown on some of the things that I'm doing. If you have more questions about technology and how you can utilize it in your school, feel free to post that in the D2L site. I'm sorry that the blab didn't work for you tonight, and it didn't work for me. I was banging my head against the table, but thanks to everyone who persevered, and hopefully you found this information interesting tonight, and you can use some of this information in your school. All right, thank you very much for listening. Have a great night. 15 minutes on the nose.